Hi, I'm Jen Newton, registered dietitian at the Skylights Wellness Center. Today we are going to be looking at a recipe and going through and doing a recipe that involves zucchini. So zucchini is very plentiful in our area. It grows really well and it's readily available at the grocery stores, at the farmer's market on Saturday, as well as online at katiefarm.org. Today we're going to use it to make zucchini breakfast cookies. Cookies for breakfast, you say? Absolutely. These definitely, because they include some vegetables that help us get our day off to a healthier start, and we can control how much sugar gets added to them for sweetness. And quite honestly, because we're using our spices of our cinnamon and our nutmeg, we really don't have to use a lot of sugar in order to bring a little bit of sweetness out. So if you're craving something sweet in the morning time, it's a great option. We are using whole grains with this. We have white whole wheat flour, and we're also using instant oats, which is also a whole grain. And then we have some additional add-ins that we can use. And these are optional. Some mini chocolate chips. I like the mini because it seems you can use less of it, but you still get plenty of chocolate taste. And then again, using some chocolate walnuts, feeding our brain early in the morning too. So first I want to start by showing you a couple tools that we can use to shred our zucchini. So with grating our zucchini, we have a couple of options. The two I'm going to show you today is using just a hand grater, where we're doing this by hand, and then I'm also going to show you how you can use a food processor for this as well. There's pros and cons to each of them, so I think it's just a personal decision as far as which way you want to go. If you're using a handheld grater, it's called a box grater, there usually are different size holes on the different sides of it, and so you want to make sure that you're choosing the right size based on the product that you're making, so based on your recipe. For something like this, I'm going to use the holes that are the second from the largest. They may be the largest on yours, just depending on what your options you have. You by all means could use some of the smaller holes. It's going to take you longer to grate, but you're going to hide that zucchini a little bit more. If you use some of the larger holes, you're going to get more of that texture of the zucchini in your cookies. So literally, all you do with this is just run it up and down the side. So if you wanted to, you could put this directly over to the bowl that you're going to be mixing your product in, or add your zucchini into. That's entirely up to you. Benefits of this is that it doesn't require a lot of setup, and what you're cleaning is basically this one particular device. There's usually always a little bit up in there. I tend to grab it out, but as you can see, we just have our grated zucchini. So that's one option that we have. The other option I want to show you is looking at and using a food processor. So again, if you don't have one, a food processor at home, you have other options. With this one, some of the things you have to think about is how big is the zucchini compared to the hole that you have to be able to feed the zucchini through it. We have a disc that sets inside here, and this is what's actually grating the zucchini for me. A lot of food processors do have these attachments. They may also have attachments that you can do slices. So again, just showing, this is one function of my food processor I didn't use on a regular basis. So I have a hole here that I can feed my zucchini into. I also have a top that I can help to feed it through. And so with this, I'm literally going to turn it on, and you see, the zucchini gets fed through. So as you can see, it goes a lot faster, but now we do have more to clean up with it. So again, it's a personal choice what you want to use, but we have our zucchini that we're going to use for our recipe. So we'll get back to our recipe. So as with a lot of our cookie recipes, we want to be mixing our dry ingredients separate from our wet ingredients. So in this bowl, I've already combined our oats, our white whole wheat flour, our baking powder, baking soda, cinnamon, nutmeg, and salt. And I've mixed those just to make sure they were combined. I'm setting that aside. And I'm going to get started with the wet ingredients. Now I put my wet ingredients into a bowl that's a little bit larger than what I need for those particular ingredients, because we're going to ultimately be adding our dry ingredients into our wet ingredients and not the other way around. So I already have in here our oil and our vanilla. I'm going to be adding our egg. And I've already cracked this egg into a separate bowl because that's always a good idea. So if you end up getting some eggshell as you crack the egg, it's a lot easier to get that out. So I'm just going to whisk this together just to make sure it gets combined. So it doesn't take much. I'm going to be adding our brown sugar into this. It's going to dissolve in there. So get this nice and mixed up. And again, it doesn't take a lot. Again, I just like like using a whisk, you can use a spoon to manage the same thing as well if you so desire. And then after this is done, I'm going to add my dry ingredients in. In this case, I'm going to add it all in together, and I'm going to switch over to using a spoon instead of the whisk. But I'm going to combine everything here so we get more of our cookie dough formed. This is something great that you can have your kids help you with, or younger members of the family. If you're doing that, it may be useful to add the dry ingredients in batches, so that you're adding about half of the dry ingredients each time. So you can smell the cinnamon and nutmeg. It smells wonderful. Things are coming together really nicely. And then from here, before I add the zucchini in, I'm going to go ahead and add in any of the optional ingredients. I do like chocolate chips, and I do love walnuts, so I'm going to make sure those get added in here as well. Again, these are pre-measured out from the recipe. And then I'm just going to add those in. Again, you don't have to use these are entirely optional. Just mixing it to combine. And then the last thing I'll do is add our grated zucchini in. So this recipe calls for just a medium zucchini. Not a cup measurement with that. So I'm going to take the zucchini that we would put through the food processor and just empty that into our bowl. This adds moisture content, so if your batter seems a little bit dry prior to this point, don't worry about it. You're going to be adding some moisture with this. So I'm going to combine this and then get ready to put it on our baking sheets. All right, so after we finish mixing our cookie dough together, we scooped the dough onto our prepared baking sheet. So we've taken just a normal cookie sheet and lined it with parchment paper. Kind of easy cleanup, make sure it doesn't stick. You can use less oil that way as well. Don't have to line it or put some oil down as a barrier. So I'm going to put this in an oven that's been preheated to 350 degrees and bake it for about 14 minutes. So this does make more than one pan's worth of cookies. So if you do have a convection oven, you have the option of being able to cook multiple pans at once. Just be sure that you do the right conversion, or you work with your owner's manual to make sure that you're converting the temperature appropriately. So we bake these in the oven at 350 degrees for 14 minutes, and out comes this delicious, wonderful looking cookie, and I can't wait to try these for breakfast in the morning. In fact, I feel you can use these for snacks. I'm probably gonna have one as soon as we finish with this video. If you're looking for other ideas of what to do with your zucchini, check out our Facebook page. We have a lot of resources there for you to use. And don't forget about KFOM, kfom.org, as well as our local farmers market on Saturday downtown for your zucchini needs.